David?
We're going to come back now to our discussion of the Iran nuclear deal. We want to welcome one of those in Congress who is charged with reviewing deals like this. Congressman John Garamendi is a Democrat representing a district in Northern California. And among other things, he serves on the House Armed Services Committee. He comes to us today from the Capitol. Mr. Congressman, thank you very much for joining us. Let me start with the most basic question. We're about 50 minutes away now from the announcement by the President. Do you, as a member of Congress and a member of the Armed Services Committee, know anything more than we do about what he's going to say?
To try to anticipate what President Trump is going to do or say is a fool's errand. This guy is all over the parking lot. You talked earlier about geopolitical risks. He is the big geopolitical risk. As to this particular deal, he may very well pull out of it, in which case it would be a major, major mistake, one that there'll be very, very serious repercussions, many of which you've already talked about in the preceding moments. But the bottom line of this is that the JCPOA had one purpose, and that was to stop Iran from developing a nuclear weapon. And it has succeeded in doing that. Iran has destroyed many, if not many, of its centrifuges to generate the necessary highly enriched uranium. They poured concrete into their reactor that could have created plutonium. And we are seriously observing their actions throughout their country, anywhere we want to, about any of their nuclear facilities. All of that is working. The fact of the matter is that the JCPOA is working for its intended purposes. Now, the President is about to terminate that. And what the result of that will be, we don't know, but it is certainly going to be serious.
Well, Congressman, as you say, we don't know the result. And let me see if there's a little common ground here, because you've been outspoken in saying the President should stay with the JCPOA. On the other hand, you've also agreed with them there are other issues with Iran, things like their missile technology, things like their support of terrorism in the region. Don't you agree that however he's come to this point, he's brought a lot of the Europeans into talking about that a lot more than we ever heard about before President Trump was there?
I don't think that's the case. There's been a lot of talk during the JCPOA process, and it was determined at that time, let's deal with the most imminent of the problems, which was the development of a nuclear weapon. There was discussion throughout that period of time about these other issues, the terrorism issues, Hezbollah, Syria, the support of Iran in Iraq. All of those were known and discussed. But how do we deal with that? Do you deal with that by terminating or disrupting the JCPOA and quite possibly putting Iran in a position of once again restarting its nuclear weapons ambitions? Or do you use the JCPOA as a foundation upon which to then move forward with these other areas? Keep in mind that there are sanctions that Congress has put in place to deal with the issues of terrorism, the issues of support for the programs that we don't like in Syria, as well as for the ballistic missiles. All of those sanctions are in place. Yes, we need to move forward, but do not destroy the foundation, which is the nuclear weapons issue.
Congressman, of course, lawmakers also have a range of options that you can take if President Trump pulls out of the Iran nuclear deal. What do you expect from Congress?
Well, the second most chaotic place in Washington is Congress. The first most chaotic is the President and the White House. So what's going to happen here if the President were to pull out? It would probably be a lot of talk for some while. The question would then be, what is Iran and Europe going to do? Our success thus far with regard to Iran and sanctions has been the unified response of America together with its European allies and Russia and China. Pulling out of the Iran deal, that is the United States pulling out, could and probably would seriously disrupt that alliance, which was the reason we had any success at all. So the question really will be, how will Europe, how will Russia, how will the others that were involved in the JCPOA respond? If the United States does, as one of your commentators said, try to impose serious sanctions on the central bank in Iran, that will have very, very serious repercussions with regard to our allies in this case. In other words, why in the world would the president take a successful program and destroy it with all of the risks going forward to achieve a better deal, perhaps, but there's no guarantee there would be a better deal, and there's significant risk that there would be a far worse situation.
We'll be expecting that swift reaction from the world once President Trump makes that announcement. Congressman, thank you so much for your time. Congressman John Garamendi, Democrat from California. Coming up, as uncertainty continues over Chinese tariffs, states in America's heartland are concerned. We'll speak.